Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for tuning in to the US Postgraduate Student Panel. My name is Patrick Smith, and I'm the North America representative for UCD based in Boston. And I'm currently joined by three illustrious grad students and one illustrious recent alumni. And so we really just want to use this chance to talk to you a bit about the US student experience for postgraduate students at UCD. So if I could just introduce or have you all introduce yourself, just your name, where you're from, what you study, and then also where you went to undergrad. So Carly, we'll start with you.
Hi, so I'm Carly Harward. I'm originally from Orangeburg, South Carolina, and I went to the College of Charleston for my undergrad, and then at UCD I did my master's in drama and performance studies and just completed my degree in December of 2019.
Perfect. Cool. And Jackie?
Hi, my name is Jackie Baselli. I am from New Jersey. I went to Ramapo College, which is a small kind of liberal arts school in New Jersey, studying political science and international studies. I am now currently post-grad studying my MA in international relations at UCD.
Perfect. And Myra?
Hi, I'm Myra Kishado. I'm from Chicago. I got my undergrad in film at Columbia College Chicago, and right now I'm studying digital marketing at Smurfit.
Perfect. And Brenda?
Hi, I'm Brenda Quinteros. I'm from Los Angeles, California. I did my undergrad at San Diego State University with a bachelor's in accounting, and I'm currently going to school at the Smurfit's Graduate Business School for International Business.
Perfect. So we have a really diverse range of academics, of geography. So this will be a really interesting conversation. So I guess just to kick it all off, why UCD? You're all from different parts of the country. Some of you may have been to Ireland before, some of you not at all. So for you, why did you choose UCD?
So I visited Ireland a few years ago and I was mesmerized by the country. But actually, similar to Brenda, I lived in Los Angeles and my entire background is in creative. But I found UCD through research and it was highly acclaimed. And I wanted something to complement my creative background to set me apart, which is why I was in the business school for digital marketing.
Perfect. And then for those of you that don't know, our business school is about 15 minutes south of the main campus. So all of our graduate business students would be just on their own separate campus, but still have access to campus life on our main Belfield campus. And Jackie, how about you? I know that you did a semester in UCD. So why did you decide to come back and study with us for a graduate degree?
Yeah, so the first time I found out about UCD was during my undergrad when I was trying to figure out where to study abroad. I had no idea, besides the fact that I wanted to study in Europe. And my study abroad advisor actually did do a semester at UCD and said that it was a really good experience. So I looked into it more. I decided to study abroad spring of 2017. I really had a good experience. I loved it. I lived on campus. I'd never been to Ireland previously to that, so that was kind of, a different story. And I just knew that I wanted to come back to Ireland to do my post-grad degree.
Perfect. And Brenda, how about yourself?
I actually arrived on a working visa to Ireland. It was my first time here, and I started working. I currently work for an aircraft leasing company, and because they had an international presence, I decided to look into master's programs that could aid my work experience. So I looked into UCD and I saw that it was one of the most prestigious colleges in Ireland. So it was a no-brainer for me. I applied, and once I got in, I decided to do the program.
Amazing. And Carly, I know you had some experience in Dublin before your graduate degree. So why did you decide to come back to UCD for a full degree?
Yeah, so directly after undergrad, I worked with a study abroad program and lived in Dublin, Ireland for off and on for 2 years. and just absolutely fell in love with Dublin and Ireland in general, and was looking at master's programs. And when I found the program at UCD, it was just kind of like a match made in heaven.
Perfect. Were any of you maybe worried at all about doing a graduate degree abroad? There's a lot of great programs in the States. Did you have any kind of hesitation about doing a master's degree in Europe? This is to anybody. Yeah. Feel free to chime in.
Personally, I didn't. I felt very comfortable because I did previously visit, and the people of Ireland are so warm and welcoming, and I kind of knew what I wanted to do specifically and where I wanted to. So I don't think I had any reservations about that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they find out, it's a 1-year degree, it's, a very focused academic experience. And, when they realize just how many people are going abroad for master's degrees, it kind of makes it a bit more normal throughout the process. There's a lot of questions at the beginning, is this going to count? Is this going to be a real degree? But once you find out, just how many people have studied in UCD and that have taken their degree all throughout the world, I think it makes it a bit more accessible and a bit more easy to kind of see yourself on campus doing that degree. So perfect. The transition, so you're all moving, from various parts of the US across the world. Some of you may have known some people in Dublin, but you get off the plane, you're in Dublin Airport. What does that feel like? What was the transition period like for you moving from the States to campus in Dublin?
I mean, I've done it before, so it wasn't too much of a transition, but kind of from going to UCD and then going back to the States and then going back to Ireland was a bit of a transition.
Yeah.
Because I kind of got used to things in America again. So when I came back, it was like when I stepped foot in Dublin Airport, I was like, yes, I'm back. Like it felt kind of very homey, and I was really excited. But it still was a little bit of a transition to kind of remember things like, yeah, you have to bring your bags going grocery shopping at Tesco, and like remembering different brands that I liked. And like, so it still is a bit of transition, but I felt like since I've already kind of lived here already, it wasn't too bad.
And how did you find the on-campus accommodation? Was it very similar to what you would experience in the States, or was it kind of a different overall atmosphere?
Very similar, I think, to the States. So I lived in Belgrove, which is kind of like an apartment setup, kind of. So it has a living area, it has a kitchen. I had 3 roommates, but all of us had our own room, which was super nice. And we had 2 bathrooms as well. So you only had to share a bathroom really with another person. And it literally was kind of right across the street from Newman, which is kind of where all my classes were. So Amazing. It was honestly like a 2-minute walk to class. So it was pretty awesome. I could wake up like 10 minutes before class and just kind of walk to class.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And Myra, do you live on campus, or are you in an off-campus apartment?
I'm off campus in an apartment in Dublin 4.
And how did you find, trying to find an apartment across the world? What was that process like for you?
I was kind of aware that there was a little bit of a housing crisis just through my own research. So I made it a point to look 2 months in advance to start pushing out feelers so that when I did come here, I would have places to go visit and have viewings so that I'd be set up before my classes start.
Perfect. And were landlords helpful, like once you're in Dublin and you were going to these viewings,
I did it through staff and rent. Perfect. And it was an easy process. It was a pretty smooth transition. I know that I did have a few friends that found it to be a little bit more of a struggle. Okay. But at the end of the day, they all have places to live.
Perfect. Yeah. So you recommended, coming over a little bit before classes start, kind of getting settled into the city and then viewing some places before. Okay. Perfect. And Brenda, how about yourself? Do you live on campus, or do you live in an apartment off campus?
Yeah, I live in a house actually in Blackrock, so I'm not too far from the Smurfit campus. But yeah, the searching for a place to live could be a bit difficult because they kind of want you to go in for viewings and actually meet you and get to know you. They want your deposit and your first month's rent, so you need to be ready to go by the time you go to this viewing. So for some people, it might be a bit easier to just do the on-campus because it's there, and the in-person, like the physical meeting you have is very important to the landlords. So yeah, that would be one thing that was a bit difficult. But for me, it was fine because I had been living here before I started school. So I just kind of did what I always did and went to the viewings and all.
Perfect. So you're all living off campus, but in terms of the on-campus student life, did you find that, maybe in comparison to the States, there was a lot to do on campus, or was the campus experience different to what you had experienced in the States? Carly, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, so in undergrad, the College of Charleston is kind of an urban campus. It's mixed in with the city. There's no clear borders of when you're on campus or when you're off. And UCD, it's very obvious, I think, when you're on campus. It's like a traditional kind of state school feeling, which I absolutely loved. I loved being able to just walk around and like seeing that traditional campus. And I felt that there was so much to do. The student center and all of the student union shops, and just there's loads of places to hang out in between classes and things on a nice day sitting by the lake, which is always
and we have 3 lakes,
well.
so there's plenty of lakes to choose from to sit by. There you go.
Absolutely.
And then for life in Smurfit, so it's 10-15 minutes south of the main campus. What was that campus experience like for you both, Myra and Brenda?
The city of Black Rock is very charming. The Smurfit campus is a little bit more secluded. So even for public transport, it's about a 20-minute walk, which I know for some students that are moving here from the States won't have access to a car. So for people that are going into the Michael Smurfit campus, you are primarily going to spend majority of your time there as opposed to the main UCD campus.
Yeah, and the campus is a little bit much smaller than the larger campus, but you tend to just have a closer relationship with people because you see the same faces all the time. So you'll know who you're going to classes with, who is in the Smurfit group with you. And I just got that to find, I just found that to be more authentic, and you just make friendships much quicker, I would say. But yeah, it's not, it's very easy to find classes as well. You don't get as lost as bigger campuses.
Perfect. And did you two come back to the main campus at all for like any kind of events or activities, or did you primarily spend a lot of time on the Smurfit campus?
I was primarily on the Smurfit campus. I went to the UCD campus to see obviously what it was like and everything. But in general, like she said, I think you do get more close relationships with people in your program in addition to out of your program because the campus is more intimate.
Perfect. So, these degrees are 1 year in duration, in comparison to the States, a lot of them are 2 years. So what did you find to be kind of the biggest difference academically in your 1 year graduate program than maybe you were used to back in the States? Did you find it was more focused on exams or projects, or was there any kind of stark difference that you noticed academically in your courses? Jackie, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. So there kind of was one big difference I found from undergrad to postgrad was that this 1 year program, one of the reasons I kind of chose it was that you were kind of able to pick more electives. There wasn't as many required classes, so I was kind of able to focus on kind of different subjects that I kind of wasn't able to really focus on in undergraduate. Which is kind of one of the benefits of the program. Also, another benefit is I hate big tests. Like I hate final exams, that kind of thing. But for my program here at UCD, I have no exams. All of my final and like midterm exams were all like long essays, which I actually kind of appreciated more because I was able to show like that I understood different subjects rather than just like answering a bunch of questions.
Perfect. Now, Carly, for drama and performance studies, how was that program? How was that structured, and what were the requirements of kind of lecture time and final exam time? How did that look for you for the year?
Yeah, so it was very similar, where all of our courses were discussion based mainly. A couple were maybe more movement based, just the nature of the program, and then all of our exams were just essays basically. So no written tests, mainly essays, which again is something that I appreciate more. It gives you time to, or the space to be able to get your points across and show that you really understand the topic. And same, all of our professors' offices were located the same hallway that my classes were, so it was really easy to contact them. Yeah.
And for Brenda and Myra, so with our business programs, did you find that there was a lot of collaborative work, a lot of group work, or was it primarily individual tests, exams, presentations? What was your experience like?
Everything in the digital marketing program was primarily group projects, or you could have a partner. I did have some individual projects during the end just because of the impact of COVID-19 and everyone kind of being separated apart. But overall, it was more project-based or papers and essays, which I think is more beneficial since like in the actual work industry, everything is pitching rather than submitting or like taking a test.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Brenda, is that kind of the same for you as well?
Yeah, I'd find it to be similar. For international business, they want to expose you to working with different people that have very different backgrounds and just learning how to approach them, because not everyone will have the same type of just reaction, or you will need to just take different approaches to speak to people and get along with them. So they do put a lot of emphasis on group work, but you do have a chance to do individual work, which that's your time to shine.
And did you find a lot of support from your professors? Were they offering any kind of career advice or career tips, specifically like to the Irish market? So coming from the States and not having the built-in network of employers or contacts in the field. Do you find that the professors were helpful?
Yeah, there's a few professors in particular that I think were very encouraging at the very end about the application process and what to go for and what kind of jobs to look for based upon your experience. So they were helpful in that aspect.
Perfect. And Brenda, what was your experience like? Did you attend any career fairs or internship fairs, or have any experience working with professors on kind of the end goal or careers after graduation?
Yeah, so I did attend a few career fairs, and like Myra said, they were tailored towards the graduate students. And because I had work experience, I kind of just went there to make connections or just to meet people. So it's still kind of useful if you want to see what else they offer other than graduate programs, even though their focus is graduate programs. And then you can go to a career counselor, have that one-on-one meeting, and just see how you would tailor your CV to get a role. And they're really helpful as well because they've talked to multiple students and they like to build that relationship with you. So they'll put you in contact with people that they've coached before. And if they're working with a company now, they'll usually introduce you to someone, and there's a lot of referral schemes that you can take advantage of. So they're a great resource. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Yeah. So UCD is #1 in Ireland for graduate employability. So, just in terms of networks and alumni connections, I mean, that's great. You were talking about, them putting you in contact with, other students that they had placed in those organizations, because that just really helps, getting your foot in the door, just kind of knowing somebody at that company. Did you find, when you were applying for jobs or when you were attending these fairs. Were there any struggles, not being an Irish student? Did you find that it was more difficult because you were an American student? Were there any kind of challenges being a non-Irish student going through the career process?
So in the field I was applying in, there were no specifications ever really that I came across saying they wanted someone in the EU or an Irish citizen. But the first question was always my visa status.
Okay.
And because when looking for jobs post-grad, these are positions that aren't necessarily a year contract. They may kind of be just kind of however long. So the question was always just realistically, how long are you allowed to stay? But again, since I started looking right as my program was ending, I still had my 2 full years at the time. But it was always the first question, but it never seemed to pose any issues or anything. People here, Dublin's a very student-friendly city, and I think that everyone here is pretty familiar with the 2-year visa restriction that they have here. So they just kind of wanted confirmation, but it would never seemed like news to them. They seemed to know what it was.
Perfect. So I guess kind of changing gears a little bit, obviously we're doing this in the midst of coronavirus, and a lot of your classes or all of your classes have transitioned to online learning. So I'm wondering if you could tell me a little bit about what that transition was like, and kind of how your courses are structured right now in an online context.
Yeah, I would say as well, it kind of really depended on the professor. So for my program, I took 3 classes each semester, and I was commuting 2 days a week before. So it was kind of nice actually being able to do classes from home from that perspective. But yeah, like one of my professors kind of pre-recorded a lecture, and then we would have an hour scheduled conversation. And some others were kind of just like lecturing, and then we would kind of have different like chats talking about different questions that they posed. So it was slightly interactive, but it was more through like the chat room rather than everybody speaking, because if everybody tried to speak at once, it kind of was like audio got distorted and it was kind of a mess. So it was kind of interactive, but to a point. But I think the professors did really well at kind of transitioning from kind of regular to online.
And for you, in terms of kind of the final exam, or, you mentioned a lot of group projects that you had to do earlier in the year. How did that change once you went online? And are those pretty much all gone? Is it all pretty much just like final exam or final essays or final papers?
It's a combination of essays and projects at the very end. They simplified it, so rather than being in a 4-person group similar to like a collaboration, which I think they try to mimic like a department structure, it's just one partner that you work with and you get to select it, which is more friendly for people that are in different time zones.
Perfect. And Carly, you graduated well before the coronavirus, so this does not impact you at all, but I guess kind of going to my last question, looking back on your experience and, looking at, from where you were when you got off the plane in Dublin Airport, what is one thing that you wish you would have known? One thing that you wish someone had told you before this all started, that maybe, anybody who's watching that's thinking about coming over to UCD for a graduate degree, what's one piece of wisdom? It can be academic, it can also be social or cultural, it can be honestly anything. So what's one thing you wish you would have known? Carly, we'll start off with you.
I think speaking academically, I think that the pacing is a bit different, which coming from the US, you kind of know where you're going to school as early as December, the year before you're going into undergrad, and you get your grades maybe 10 days max after you finish an assignment. It's all pretty instant in the States. And then coming to Ireland, Irish students don't really know where they're going to school until August or something like that,
Yeah.
for undergrad. So that was very different. I was coming from a very American mindset where I wanted to know like in March what was happening, and that's not really how it was working. And then, you know, I didn't really have any smaller assignments throughout the semester. It was all just one essay at the end of the semester. And then I would have to wait 6 weeks to find out what grade I made, which was very different than what it would have been in the States, waiting nearly 2 months. And then after finishing my thesis, it was about 2 months.
Okay.
Which again, when I was finishing my undergrad degree, that was even, I think it was like a 5-day process to know if you were graduating or not. So it was just a very different timeline that I wasn't used to, and maybe still not used to. It took some adjusting. So I just think that, yeah, it was something I knew about, but I wasn't quite prepared for being in the moment.
But it all worked out in the end.
It did all work out. I got
There
the
you go.
degree.
Yeah.
Just had to wait a little longer for it, but it was all right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Perfect.
Well, to be cliche, I personally think that I was better off not getting off the plane, and I'm glad I kind of came in here by myself and got that learning adjustment rather than having some form of knowledge, and that gives you an overall round experience as a person to be able to adapt in that form. But if I were to give any wisdom to people that are coming over or working from home, is just to say yes to every opportunity and push yourself out of that comfort zone. Because if you're an American or from any country and you are moving here and you don't know anyone, or even if it's through an online program, which you're probably promoting this for, you you need to take every single opportunity.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Brenda, how about yourself?
Well, being from Los Angeles, the weather was the most eye-opening thing. So don't leave the house without an umbrella, because even if it's sunny outside, it'll start raining in 2 hours and for 5 minutes, and then it'll go away. And it's like the weather is actually a bit more, it changes very quickly, which is something that I wasn't used to because it's always sunny where I'm from. But it's actually still really nice. It's more green than I expected. You know, you hear stories of people saying that the country's beautiful, but actually seeing it, you realize it's true. It's not just, they're not making this up. Yeah. And I guess, like if Americans are looking to stay in Ireland, I forgot to mention that there's a lot of American companies here. Dublin is known as the Silicon Valley of Europe, so they're actually willing to cater to Americans. I know the visa might be an issue, but don't let that discourage you, because they're actually willing to make a little bit of moves to make sure that you're safe and you have your job even after your 2 years is up, if you're the right candidate, of course.
The Irish people are lovely. Genuinely, they really are. I haven't met kinder individuals before, like out of all the different cities that I've lived in. Overall, how to meet people, always talk to the person next to you. I think that's fair advice in life.
Amazing. And for all of the prospective students out there, you know, UCD, as you can tell, great university, a lot of opportunities. And I just want to thank our esteemed panelists. For Myra, Brenda, and Jackie, best of luck with kind of the final exams and wrapping up the year throughout the summer trimester. And Carly, congratulations again on graduating and everything, and best of luck working in Dublin. And thank you so much. I really appreciate this.